Okay, Larry, come on, lead us.
Networks team supporting the Roseville Bruins, Southeast LA, as well as DC, Boston, and emerging networks such as the Marina Del Rey Network, San Gabriel Valley Network, and our Long Beach area Beachside Bruins. Prior to my coming up to work for UCLA Alumni Affairs, I was most recently president of the San Diego chapter, and before that I've served on the boards of Chicago, New York, as well as on the Asia Pacific Alumni Board. So I've been volunteering with UC Alumni for as long as ever since I graduated. I'm so happy, Suzy and I are both so happy to be here to share with you some of our experiences with developing and recruiting and developing a succession plan.
Most of you probably already know me. I'm Suzy Howell. I'm also director of the Regional Networks team. I've been here for about a little over 2 years. But before that, I was a network leader for San Fernando Valley for a couple of years. And I was on the board of that network for probably 6 years and a volunteer. I'm also a member of Prytnia, Las Vegas, Gold Shield, women's groups here at UCLA. So I'm very active, class of 75. So welcome everyone, and like Monica said, we're here to talk about leadership succession planning. Everybody here's a leader, right?
Yes.
Leaders.
Exciting stuff. I know you're all thrilled to hear a little bit more about this. But before we delve into the details, let's talk a little bit about leadership succession. Now, I know we're all smart Bruins. It's redundant, I know. But what is leadership succession? Anyone? Come on, I gave you guys candy.
Continuity?
Yes, definitely. Anyone else? What's so important about leadership succession?
Mentoring, passing the baton.
Absolutely. Right.
Keeping vibrancy in the group.
Exactly,
New idea.
the energy. So we'd like to think of it in sort of two different parts. On one side, leadership succession is important as a leader. We say this all the time as Alumni Affairs. We appreciate and understand that you are all volunteers, donating your time, your passion, your talents to UCLA. We don't want you to get burnt out. We know you don't want to get burnt out. And so leadership succession is a way to get support and help for you. On the other side, for our networks and for UCLA, like he had said, it's a great way to get fresh energy and fresh ideas. Now, who is involved in leadership succession? Here's a hint, it's not just leaders, it's everyone. As board leaders, I encourage you to ask your other board members. Everyone has to participate in order for this to work. It's not just on one person's shoulder, it's a team effort, as we've said before. So when does this happen? Is this happening a month before the president's term is up? Okay, so remember when we were UCLA students, we'd be up till 3 a.m. writing our 15-page paper. Okay, maybe just me, but when I did it, I swore I would never do that again. So here's your chance. Be prepared. You and your board should know the ABCs. Always be cultivating. And here's the secret, it's a lot more fun than writing papers. And finally, how do we do this? And that's what this session is all about. Suzy and I are going to share a couple ideas with you, but first, to lay the groundwork, Suzy's going to talk a little bit about the prep.
So I'm going to give you a little anecdote of how I got involved in network leadership. I went to a board meeting. I went to someone's house. I knocked on the door opened. The person whose home it was hosting the meeting answered, "Hello, my name's Larry Davis, and I'm Suzy Howell. Come on in." Hey everybody, here's Suzy Howell. She's the next president of San Fernando Valley Group. But you know what? As scary as that was, it was very empowering, because here was someone who said, "Welcome, and you can do it." And it planted a seed. And 4 or 5 years later, I was president of Second of Alumni. Thanks, Larry. When we start talking about succession planning, all the people who walk through the door, doesn't matter if it's 1 or 10 or 100, the first thing I want all of you to think about is the image you project, the image your board projects, and the image your network projects. Because if it's not positive, if it's not welcoming, all those people who walk through the door will never walk through that door again. Brandy talked about it earlier in her social media. She said, you know what people say, oh, our football team sucks. This is sucks. But you know what? You don't want to hear that. I love being a Bruin. Yeah, we don't win every day. Yeah, we have problems. We have issues on campus. But let's be positive. Let's put our good reputation out there. What you think you project may be different from the reality of what other people perceive you to be. You only have one chance to make a first impression, and so you've got to make the most of that. You put a smile on your face, you put out your hand, you welcome people, you talk about the good things, you get that Bruin energy going, people are going to want to come back. They're going to want to be a part of your board, be a part of your group, they're going to want to volunteer. And if they do that, succession planning is not a big deal. So put your best foot forward. We're in the middle of our centennial campaign. Everybody should be an optimist. Be an ambassador for UCLA, be positive, and be invited.
And now I present to you the O for optimism, O for opportunity, O for what we will call today as the board building cycle. And these are 7 easy, fun steps to leadership succession. I know we all know Suzy and I as networking leaders have been there on the ground with you. It's not always just 7 easy steps, but think of this as a guideline, something for you to be mindful of. And along those lines, I do want to take this time to let you as network leaders know that you are not alone in this process. Your board is not the only one going through leadership challenges, succession challenges, and you don't have to deal with this alone as your network. We are here for you. Suzy's here for you. I am here for you. Alumni Affairs is here to help you and to guide you. And we are here to partner with you to help uphold and further the mission of the school that we all love, UCLA. Education, research, and service.
Also, just so you know, in the back, David and Catherine, they are our colleagues in regional. Catherine covers Northern California, everything above California, Colorado, Las Vegas,
Washington,
Utah, David, I don't know the rest of the world.
Across the country.
Central and Eastern United States.
So while the
Just
7
Central and Eastern.
Okay.
So while the 7 steps we have here, identify, cultivate, recruit, educate, evaluate, rotate, and celebrate, we'll be sharing a little bit more of those with you. And the first one being,
Identify. I want a show of hands. How many of you have found your successor? Oh, you have? Who is that?
Well, my VP successor.
The person who's not here?
She's over there.
with young alumni.
Jeanette, how long have you been president of Beachside Bruins? Okay, have you found your successor?
Not yet.
Why not?
We're just starting out.
How fast do you think it'll go? Okay, I don't want to scare anybody. But you know what, when you start out, one of the first things you want to do is think about, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do a year from now? Where do I want to be? Where do I want this group to be in 5 years? So you do want to be strategic. And what is it going to take? Where are you going to find people? You're going to find them everywhere. You're going to find them in the parking lot at Costco. You're going to find them at an event. You're going to find them at a volunteer day. Every opportunity, every touch is a place where you can find someone. How do you recruit them? You ask. That's the most important thing, and that's the one thing that most people don't do. Will you serve? Will you step up? Will you be the Facebook person? Will you be the LinkedIn? Will you be the treasurer? Will you come and take notes at a meeting? You don't have to make it overwhelming, but you do have to ask, because if you don't ask, you won't get it.
Suzy, you remember how you got involved?
Yes. I offered to do an event.
No, before that,
Oh, I met his wife on a bus.
on the bus to the Hollywood Bowl.
The Hollywood Bowl. I was on the bus with my husband, and this woman was sitting in front, and she turned around, oh, hi.
Must have been wearing UCLA.
Somehow we had UCLA, and oh, I'm in San Fernando, I'm in San Fernando. Well, I'm doing, I don't know. Wife
See
number
where
one.
it got you, Suzy?
What?
See where it got you?
See where it got? No, I'm grateful for that meeting. That's actually what led me to your house, to ring your doorbell, to walk in the door, to take over a network. Kangaroo! All right, go. Cultivate. Promptly cast your net. Anybody who walks in the door is a viable candidate. And you know what? I've seen this happen over and over again. Someone walks through the door and they go, she's kind of dweeby looking. Black shoes, white socks. You know what? They walk through the door, they have a pulse, they're a candidate for leadership. Because you know what? If you're a good leader, you can pretty much mold anybody into anything. They're Bruins. They have a degree from UCLA, they're smart, they're passionate, and they showed up. That's a captive audience. One-on-one. A lot of times I see people hold game watching events, and I will see the board sit together, chat with each other, and there's 30 or 40 people that nobody's talking to. Why are you not getting up? Every second there's a commercial break, halftime, whatever. Go out, introduce yourself, put your hand out there, talk to them, ask them, what brought you here? Yeah, I know you football, but why this? You could stay home on the couch. You've got the 70-inch flat screen TV. The beer is colder and cheaper. There's no lines in the bathroom. But you're here. What brought you out? Get them interested. If they came to a game watching, maybe they can be your game watching chair. Maybe they can be a host for one game. And after they're a host for one game and they have a great time, they'll be your athletics chair, your sports chair. They'll plan an event for you. Keep them informed. Hey, this is what we're doing. You know what? We only do away games because everybody on our board has season tickets. You don't? Would you come here? Would you be the host? That's a great idea. But this is not just your job, it's your board's job. Whether you're a board of 4 or a board of 14, this is everyone's job. Everyone's got to buy into this, and everyone's got to help you out. You cannot carry the load yourself.
Next step, recruit. This picture, not what we want to do. I was trying to look for an angry Trojan army guy, which didn't exist, so this will have
Isn't that redundant?
Also redundant, thank you. But what you do want to do is know what roles you're looking to fill. For example, if you're looking for someone specifically for game watches or for social media, but having that point of reference will not only help you as you talk to interested alumni who want to get involved, but also board members who are looking to engage in some way. For example, we all have board members that kind of just come to meetings, don't really volunteer, but if you have a specific task, then you have something that you can direct them in, and along those lines, you're able to manage your expectations, and it goes along with describing expectations and responsibilities. And it means being on the same page with someone with regards to the board's needs and a person's capacity. I've heard stories where someone indicated they were interested in helping out with social media, and then the next thing you knew, they sort of, went MIA and disappeared. It's important to be on the same page to know that they are, for example, expected to post once a week, once a day, whatever is your network's comfort level, and that the person who's stepping up to that role is willing to take that on. And again, that goes to don't minimize your requirements. Your programming is important, and you want your volunteers and your network leaders to understand the value of that. But make it fun, make it encouraging. How many of you know about the Welcome to the City program that we recently did? Thank you. Thanks for the participation. When we first introduced the Welcome to the City event, I was a network president, I was a network leader, and I remember when they presented it to us, they said, do an event that represents your city. Something that applies, that will resonate with old Bruins, new Bruins, younger Bruins, older Bruins, something that reflects the diversity of our communities and our city. It's a lot. But once our network started talking about it, it's like, what makes our city so special? We're in Southern California. How about something outdoors? What about a hike? With Welcome to the City, it doesn't have to be a big fancy brunch or on a boat. Sorry, actually no watercraft events, as we learned earlier today during the finance meeting. But it doesn't have to be a big event. It could just be a hike. Hey, Joe Bruin, you like to go on a hike. You like to go on hikes. What if you invited a few alumni to the next hike you go on? And so that sort of reflects managing expectations. It doesn't have to be a big event, but also making it a meaningful ask, something that resonates to something that your volunteer alumni is passionate about or is interested in. Like Suzy even mentioned earlier, someone who likes going to the game watches. Maybe they'll want to head up the game watch or the sports chair. So again, it's about making that meaningful ask.
I'm good. Engagement equals retention. When you engage people, they feel welcome, valued. They feel like they have a place at the table. Too often, you'll go to a meeting, you might have 30 or 40 people there. Again, I go back to what I'm saying. I see the board members talk among themselves, or they talk to the other people that they know, and they ignore the people that are brand new. They don't reach out. Those people are there for a reason. They want to learn about your network. They want to serve. They want to be engaged. They want to participate. They want to volunteer. You need to bring them into the circle. Introduce the board. I see this a lot of times at board meetings. People assume that everybody knows everybody. Just go around. I'm Paul. I'm the secretary. I'm Suzy. I'm your network liaison. Just go around and have those conversations. Maybe say how you got involved, why it's important, what you're looking for. Have those conversations at the meeting. If people do come on board, assign them a buddy. We have buddies here at JWAC. When you are a new employee, everybody gets a buddy. Go out to lunch. They kind of give you the ins and outs, share a little gossip, share an after-work drink. But it's fun, and you feel like part of the group right away, and you feel like, it's a good feeling. Involve people in a committee or task force. I need 6 people to be at volunteer day to check in. Okay, that's not a huge undertaking. Everybody can check someone in, hand out a name tag. You give them a task, then you give them a bigger task the next time, and pretty soon they're all in. Take advantage of people's talents. I've got Chai here today learning about social media, right? That's why you came. He wants to learn about social media. So we asked him to come, listen to Brandy, saw you taking copious notes. Because Conejo Valley does have someone who does social media for that network. She also does social media for Alumni Band. She's a busy gal, plus she's a full-time, fully employed person. So she needs some help. You've stepped up, you're going to learn about it. You're interested in it because you're in computers, I understand. Is that okay? And remember, we're all Bruins. I've heard this before. Oh, you know what? I'm not sure they can do it. Why? They have a degree from UCLA. That's just an icebreaker, right? Okay? We're not Trojan. We're good. And everybody can do something. Everybody's got a strength. Everybody can participate. Everybody can be part of it.
Up next evaluate. So we all live in a go, go, go environment. Hashtag UC Bruins everywhere, hashtag alumni never sleep. So this is really just a reminder, where was Julie for that part? Thank you.
Hashtag alumni never sleep.
So this is really a reminder to stop, pause, and evaluate how your board is doing. I know a lot of times we do a good job of evaluating events, but we also have to really pause and take a step to evaluate how we are doing as a board, how maybe some roles are being conducted or how the board is being conducted, and really just taking that time to reassess where your board is at. And some questions you might want to even ask are, why have you stayed on the board, and why are you still here? And the next thing that we'll go into, and Suzy will talk about a little more, is even in the exit interviews, why are you leaving? How do you feel about the board as you're leaving? How do you feel about leaving? So these are just important questions to really take the time to consider. And if you need help with figuring out appropriate evaluation questions, there's also SWOT analysis, but all of us at Alumni First are here to help you through this process as well.
We're here to guide from the side. We don't really want to tell you what to do. I had a conversation with someone the other night. He said, what am I supposed to do? I said, you are supposed to do your compliance documents once a year. That's all you're supposed to do. The rest is really up to you. Rotate, have a succession plan. I think it's the gentleman from Arizona over there. Fresh ideas, is that what I heard from you? What was vibrancy? That was your word. The President of the United States only serves for 8 years. You should have bylaws that have term limits. And you know what? When you have a talented leader, it's really hard to say goodbye to them. But as hard as it is, they can still help. They can be an emeritus. They can attend meetings. They can attend events. But you do have to rotate. You've got to bring those new leaders in. They've got to go through the process because they want to give back as well. Give them the opportunity. Don't automatically re-elect someone just because they're great. There's lots of great people. You saw a statistic today, 500,000 alumni. So when you think, it's only just 4, we're the only ones who can do it, don't think that way. There's a lot of people. Consider the board's needs and the members' performance. You know what, as good as they are, maybe they're tired. Maybe they're just, we always do this event. We've got to do this. We've got to do the Hollywood Bowl. Are you sure you have to do the Hollywood Bowl? Are you sure there isn't something else out there? Explore the advisability of resigning members who aren't active. I've seen boards where you have the executive board, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then you have 14 at-large members who don't do anything. They have ideas and criticisms, but ask them to show up, ask them to participate, ask them to sit at a check-in table to greet people. They don't do it. They don't think this has got to be an active board. This is not an advisory board. Beware of Greek choruses. Anybody been on a board where you say, oh, we used to do that, it didn't work. Oh, we do this every year, we got to do it again. You have to be mindful of that. Let everybody have a voice, but reach consensus. The thing I hate the most when I go to meetings, and I hated it when I was a network leader, let's take a vote. 7 to 6. I hate that. Let's reach consensus. Let's everybody come together, talk it through. You're not always going to agree, but let's all get on the same page. And recognize you must leave the past behind to move forward. We're coming up on our centennial. Can you imagine what UCLA looked like 100 years ago? You've seen the black and white photos. Look at the way it is now. It's very different. Is it better? Is it different? Yeah, and that's okay. Vibrancy. I love that word. When you said that, vibrancy, you bring new people in, whether they're 60, whether they're fresh out of school, they bring a vibrancy, they bring new ideas, they bring energy. You've got to have them. You've got to have your network look like your geographic region. Can't stress that enough. We're about diversity, we're about inclusion. Let's reflect that in our networks too. That's why it's important to rotate. Pass that baton. Let other people have a leadership role. Larry, you were president for 4 years. You took a 20-year break. You came back and you were president for 4 more years. You were a great president. Thank you for mentoring me. But after you stopped being president, I don't think I've ever seen anybody so busy with UCLA stuff. You found other places to go. That's what UCLA offers. There's life beyond the board. There's life for you beyond the board, and there's life for other board members. Make sure that happens.
Make sure you celebrate.
I think I heard you say he was president for 4 years, so that's, what is that, 2 terms, 2-year terms?
He was 4 years, took a 20-year break, then came back on the board. Right? Does that sound right?
Well,
It's all a blur, Suzy. But when, there weren't the same kind of.
term limits, that's what I'm getting.
There wasn't this kind of a structure back then. It was not a free-for-all, it was more of an incestuous board situation, all the groups had.
There was no social media. I mean, when I started with the group, there was no social media. We literally spent money sending out paper newsletters. That's how we contacted people. Now it's much easier. You were dependent upon an address where you could put a stamp on an envelope to say, hey, we're going to murder mystery dinner thing, come with us. Now you can reach so many more people, bring so many more people in, make it much more cool and hip to be on board and do events. Did that answer your question? Not really? Okay.
No, I was looking to find out about term limits. I heard there was, the term limit was 2 years, but I'm thinking, well, because we just started, maybe it should be for the first 3 years, because I'm just thinking.
So term limits, here's how we came up with it. I mean, we looked through a lot of bylaws of different groups on campus to see what really worked. And what it is, it's 2 years in a position. So you can be president for 2 years. You can serve on a board for a total of 4. So you can be president for 2 years, secretary for a year, treasurer for a year, and then you're off. But if you don't move, you've got to, it's stagnant. It really is stagnant. Not that we don't love you, not that we don't want you. Just want other people to have the opportunity to be leaders.
How about
Yeah, but.
She meant yeah.
What?
She meant yeah.
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 She didn't say yeah, right? Okay.
I've been watching her take notes, I think she's going to be the new
What's
secretary.
implicit in that wasn't there all those years ago, is an exit strategy, so that you know you're not going to sit and be obligated forever. You know that the end game, and you're bringing new people in, and you get to that vibrancy and new ideas, and always having great energy.
Yep.
All right, and my favorite one, celebrate. Suzy sent me this picture, and the moment I saw it, I absolutely loved it. I feel like I should automatically be piping in Katy Perry's fireworks song. And along those lines, there is a line in that song that goes, maybe a reason why, I'm gonna save you from my Saturday night karaoke singing. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. So yes, there will be some closed doors, but once you are on that path, celebrate. It might not be the 405 on Christmas, it might be that ridiculous 2 lanes on the 15 or 101 at 5 o'clock, but when you are on your path, really find those opportunities to celebrate. And not only at the board level, but it's really at the organization level if they've done something for UCLA, or even sort of on a larger community level if they've done something in the community, if they've gotten promoted. But those are really great ways to just appreciate and show gratitude for the efforts that your board members are putting in. And also, you might want to consider inviting past leaders to celebrate in the achievements of your collective legacy.
I was going to say, all I could think of was inviting past leaders to celebrate. I got this vision in my head of like the pasture, right, and the gate, and we're putting the old horses out there. You know what? I think that's what leaders are afraid of. It's like, my time's up, how do I stay involved and relevant? It's like, it's black and white. Okay, I'm done, I can't come back. San Fernando Valley, I'll tell you, that whole leadership team, we don't see them anymore. I don't really know why. Laura and I were talking about it today. It's like they all disappeared. And that's really sad because they were long-serving members. But for some reason, they don't feel connected, and we've reached out, they just don't get involved. I don't know why. But I do know Cananeo Valley, Spencer Miller, the president, whenever there's a board meeting, thank you, Paul, for the great minutes you take at the meeting. Thank you, Phil, for being the host of the game watching. Never fails to thank everybody, be it for the small stuff, for the big stuff. Thank you, Judy, for putting on a great event at Stonehouse. Just those little thank yous, ooh, it's wonderful. You know, you can see people just light up, but there's not enough of that, because sometimes you get into the board meeting and you start like this, oh, awful.
All right. So now we do have some time for some questions. Any questions out there? No?
No, I had a question. So for like the new and established networks, you kind of started bringing it up, but in terms of like continuity, do you guys have any examples where people have, from like the later established networks, have had their continuity plan kind of work? My fear is, and I've already made the decision at the end of 2016, I'm done, and I'm starting to put things in place. However, my fear is, someone else is not going to come in and be as involved as I am, due to a lot of other restraints. So I'm trying to find that leader, but just kind of curious how you guys have seen it play out in like the latest, less established networks, and any concerns we can really kind of mitigate to avoid some of my own fears and concerns.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Are you a board of one?
No. So we have other
Okay,
people.
and the only reason I ask, I hear I, me, mine. This is your board. Your board should be buying into this. Your board should be saying, who's going to succeed you?
So I think, like as we talked about last time at this conference, we have issues in terms of keeping people on the board in a consistent manner. And I know I'm not the only one that struggles with this. And because we are such a smaller network, the continuity has been me because my last person moved, and there's just been a lot of stuff. So I speak in I because I've been the constant. Now the last 6-7 months we have had people who have been there around, but I'm just, like I said, just a little fear. I don't want us to take steps back as we've gotten to a place where I feel like we're fully running. So just want to make sure, do you guys have any networks that you can refer to that have done this as newer? So, and it doesn't sound like it is. Like, or we have an example of the newer, later networks. Like I know with especially the ones in California, you guys seem to can come back and be energized just because there's a lot of people around. But Atlanta's a little different. So.
I think one of the things you can do is always be having that conversation with your board. Is like reminding them, I'm going to be stepping down. I'm going to be stepping down. TikTok, 10 months, 9 months, 8 months, I'm going to be stepping down. Because that's got to be in the forefront of their mind, that they should be helping you find your successor, or they need to be stepping up themselves.
I'd only like to add one thing. I don't think it's really a new or old thing. I think it's, and I fall into this category too, you take ownership of your own group. You're proud of it, you're passionate about it. What happens is if people don't step up, you take over because you don't want it to fail. Then all of a sudden you find yourself doing 8 out of the 10 things that a whole board should do. I've fallen into that, and when Suzy was my successor, she was, Larry, you're doing everything, but I'm good at it. But the idea is to delegate, to get people to share ownership of it. So if you find yourself doing more and more and more, then your job becomes more daunting to the next person. They say, no, you're good at that. You keep doing it for the next 10 years. And that's what we have to be, we have to be mindful of, that people around us are competent as long as you give them an opportunity. They want to help. You just got to give them a little bit of room to do it.
Oh, David?
I would just add to that, like, a big thing I think is that chapters are always more successful when there's these big open board meetings where you do really kind of have this welcoming community and let other people have a kind of a seat at the table. I think when boards seem distant, and that's not saying that any of your guys' boards seem distant, but when boards seem like it's like a group of folks that are running things and the alumni just kind of follow along, you don't sometimes bring in that new energy, and having these kinds of forums where people really do feel like they have the opportunity to get involved and try to run an event will eventually help with that kind of problem.
And I would just mention two things too. One, if you have people that are hesitant to step up as a leader, maybe even considering the idea of doing a co-leadership. I know Orange County did that too, so you might want to talk to them about how that structure would work for them. And I think the other thing is that there will be an ebb and flow of boards. So I understand that you have this great passion for your network, but you know, it's like Suzy said, it's also part of letting go of the past to bring in an opportunity for the present and the future. And just despite your love of the organization, it's the realization and acceptance that things will change. That's just a given with the new leader.
I think Larry's story about delegating, that's a constant struggle for a lot of leaders, because exactly what you said, you need to delegate. You need to delegate so other people can learn. They can learn proactively, they can learn from their mistakes. You need to delegate, because if you don't, what the rest of your board sees is, geez, this thing is so big, I can't wrap my hands around it, my head around it, and you know what, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So then, by not delegating, you're just perpetuating this monster that you can't overcome. So delegating is really, really important. Again, chunk it up. How do you eat an elephant? Thank you. All right.
Did everyone hear the answer?
No.
One bite at a time.
I guess I'm trying to put my head around this, because I know, I heard that last year they had 100 people at the Oktoberfest event, and this year they had 50-something people. And so I think we need to find out what happened. And one thing that you said, like engage them or get them involved, and maybe at that big event, we should have some subcommittee sign-ups so that people know what to engage in. Otherwise they go and, well, I didn't do anything except for, have a drink or whatever. So don't just, so I'm thinking, find a way to involve them when they come.
Yes.
Engage them when they come.
And that was actually something I think Brandy brought up. I can't remember which presentation it was, but she had said when you get your alumni at event, it's extremely important to tell them about other opportunities that they can engage them to continue that cultivation.
Absolutely. Make sure you've got something in the pipeline. There's nothing worse than kind of that, after Christmas letdown where everybody's like, okay, now the holidays are over now, but oh, it's raining outside.
I can share a relevant example to your question about how to get people involved at an event. So the West Side Bruins network that I'm on the board for, we had an open board meeting, I think in September or August. And part of the handout was the board interest sheet. So it had, the typical name, email address, but it also listed all the subcommittees and whether you were interested in volunteering, being a chair, or just attending events. So it wasn't anything sophisticated, but it did kind of help us weed out who was interested in being a leader and if they had a specific interest area. So following that meeting, Steve was able to reach out to these people and kind of like sort them according to what they filled out on that form. So that was a really easy way. But
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, and it was
Simple.
It was in this room, so it was contained. That might have to be adapted for like an Oktoberfest event where everyone's kind of doing
Sign-up
everything. But something like
I think we
that.
got like 5 new board members.
Yeah.
Did you have two separate types of sign, or did they have to sign it twice? Like one I signed it, they attended, and then one to sign
We
it
had
that
like
they
a check-in table, so like when they came in, I just checked them off and said, this person attended, but everyone who attended the meeting had like the agenda, and in addition to that, a separate piece of paper that they turned into me in
self-identify as
Yeah.
interested in.
And you didn't have to fill out the form. I wasn't like, where's your form? I just said,
Just sign
yeah, I was
the
just
form.
like, I just raised my hand and said, if you filled out the form, I'll be collecting it at the end. And people came up to me, they were like, here's my form.
So then you know
Yeah,
who you're stepping
yeah, it was so simple and it was really effective.
So I have a question on that.
Yeah.
And it gets back to what Suzy said right at the start. When their first contact with you at the check-in table, are you positive, you're optimistic, you're happy, you're smiling, you're not bringing it, and then the meeting had to go where people would say, you know what, I want to be involved in this kind of group. And that goes back to what Suzy said at the start. If you just berate the football team and the coach and everything else and bring up old history, you're going to walk out without handing me the sheet. So whatever you did, that was good.
Come on, there's got, I know it's like 4:30. Who's your successor?
Blanca is the next president.
Do you still have that list of all the positions? Remember, aside from president, secretary, like, I think it was a committee member.
Probably. You know?
But that will also depend on the various networks too.
Yeah. I've got your volunteer sheet, which I would be happy to share with my colleagues, and, you know, they can put it out to you. Like you said, it's not sophisticated, but boy, it sure did the job.
It was like check boxes, so you didn't even have to write, I want to be this subcommittee. It was
Yeah.
just like check, check, check.
Because
name,
that's what the network needs. They identified what they needed, what they were looking for, and it was, like you said, simple, name, email, and someone could follow up.
So you had the committees of your choosing, depending on what she said, was on what your needs or desires are.
Yeah, it was
as a
like
network.
programs, sports, scholarships. Yeah, so kind of like general, but still, yeah. And we went over them in the presentation. So people weren't blindly like, oh, I think I like programs. Like, we went over it like, programs, this is what we need. Yeah. And some people ask me like, what does this mean? And then
Yeah, maybe you could just forward that to us, just general, simple.
I'll forward it over to you.
Okay.
All right, well, I think we're out of time, but actually, Rosalind's story does bring up that after this session, we'll be sort of doing an idea sharing session in this room, where we'll have different topics at the various tables, so that will also give you an opportunity to share best practices, ideas, and suggestions with other network leaders. But other than that, thank you so much for sharing this time with us and for your energy.